Alright, so these are the best decks in the game right now, and I'm just going to jump out and say it. Soul Demon Hunter and Aggro Demon Hunter are SS tier. I'm going to talk about them both in one section, so you're going to get a bonus deck in this video, because I think that they both deserve to be talked about and put in just like a tier above everything else. Soul Demon Hunter is the kind of class that can do everything, and across all ranks, it's the most played class. It has the highest win rate of anything else, except for in lower ranks, Pure Paladin, and in higher ranks, Highlander Hunter. Other than that, Soul Demon Hunter and Aggro Demon Hunter are the next two highest win rate classes across pretty much all ranks, and it's very simple to play and very cheap. So if you want the not only the best deck, but the best bang for your buck decks, you got this and Aggro Demon Hunter. Both of the links will be in the description, so you can get the deck code, but I'm only showing Demon Hunter right now. I mean, just fine. So if you want to see the Aggro Demon Hunter, if I can find it real quick, it's called Pure Aggro. This is what the other deck list looks like. Basically Pure Aggro with your top end being literally Kane. That's it. That is your top end, a 4-cost minion. That's insane. And they win. They win an astronomical amount of times, and I would recommend playing them if you want to climb. As much as I hate telling you guys to play Demon Hunter and seeing more Demon Hunters in the meta, if you want good decks, Demon Hunter's the way to go. Next, in my opinion, is Libram Paladin. You can also go Pure Paladin, which people also think is relatively strong. I think that they're both very, very powerful in their own right. I just like this one because I like playing Yogg. It feels to have a more consistent late game. You draw some more cards. You have more things that you can do. It's not just like play tempo, pump minions up, but Pure is a little bit cheaper and is easier to play, whereas this deck is harder to play. I think that Pure Paladin is the kind of deck that'll be like, boom, enter right here, but its skill cap is only a slight increase, whereas Libram Paladin is like, boom, enter down here, but your skill cap is much higher because you have things you have to think about, like when you want to draw, when you want to go face, when you want to ping with Penflinger, what you want to ping with Penflinger, when you want to use Yogg and or Silas as like good late game swing kind of turns. So there's more thinking that's to go on with this deck, and maybe that gives me some sort of bias, because I play this one more because it's more fun to play in my opinion. I have a higher opinion of it, but Pure Paladin is definitely fine as well. You can find a deck list anywhere, Hearthstone, Replay, and if you're at lower ranks where people don't have all of the best cards, Pure Paladin is better than Libram Paladin, because if people don't have all of the best cards and all the best removal, you're basically just able to play whatever big minions you want whenever you want. So both are very, very strong decks. I personally like Libram Paladin more, but Pure Paladin also deserves to be on the list. So the next one is Revolve Shaman, and this probably goes without surprising anyone, and I just want to let you know, other than Soul Demon Hunter, all of the other decks that I'm mentioning are kind of clumped together as just really, really good. The order after that didn't matter too much, in my opinion. Like Libram Paladin, I think is about the same as Revolve Shaman. I think Revolve Shaman has the potential to be better, but Libram Paladin has a better late game, and it just depends on your playstyle. But anyway, Revolve Shaman has some of the most powerful swing turns in the game. You basically set up with Knuckles, and then turn 6, you absolutely pop off, and there's nothing your opponent can do. You play Knuckles turn 5, turn 6, you play Desert Hare, Pitmaster, Mogu Flesh Shaper, another Mogu Flesh Shaper, rush in, slam their board, and then fill your board with nothing but 4 drops, 5 drops, and a couple of 10 drops. And you just sit there as the opponent, thinking, I'm in a good spot right now, and as long as he doesn't have the weapon, I should win. And then he plays the weapon, and you're like, okay, as long as he doesn't have like a Mogu Flesh Shaper, we should win. And then he plays the Mogu Flesh Shaper, and you're like, alright, so I lose. And like, it's a pretty straightforward deck with a very simple strategy. Fill the board, evolve everything, and also you want to run at least 1 or 2 evolves as well. So that way, if you don't have the Knuckles, you can at least revolve the Desert Hares and get 3 3-drops on turn 4, which is at least okay. It's not as good as you would want it to be, obviously, but it's at least fine. And, yeah, you can run another Revolve. I saw a lot of people running 1 Acidic Swampies, because they were playing against a lot of Demon Hunters and Warriors and Shamans. All are classes that rely or at least utilize weapons. So I ran an Acidic Swampoos, but if you don't want to run it, you can definitely run another Revolve, and it'll be perfectly fine. So the next list is ETC Warrior, and the reason why I put this on here above all the other Warrior decks is just because I think it's more consistent. I think Cthulhu Warrior takes way too long to actually get online. Like, not only do you have to draw all the pieces, but then you have to play all of the pieces, and they're all like 5 costs, so it's going to take you a couple of turns to do that. And then you got to draw Cthulhu, play Cthulhu, and it only does 30 damage, which is actually less than the ETC OTK combo, so it just feels weaker to me. You could also go Aggro or N'Zoth, but again, N'Zoth's big win condition is just a ton of minions, which, yes, can do damage, but ETC does the damage. Like, you don't have to wait. You don't have to, like, hope they don't have removal. You just play ETC, Wombo combo, do 36 damage. And then Aggro Warrior, I just don't think it's as good as either of the other decks. It's playable if you want to run, like, some pirate variant of Aggro Warrior. I played it. I went, like, 5 and 4 with it. It was all right, but this one's definitely by far the best Warrior deck in the game right now. And it's really the best response to Demon Hunter as well, which is good. Which is why I've seen a decent amount of Warriors, probably specifically to beat those Demon Hunters. And it's why I've played a little bit of Warrior. It does struggle against some other matchups, obviously, like if they're playing against Priest and you're like Rattlegore Stolen or Rogue and they outvalue you. It can be kind of rough, but most of the time you'll do pretty well. And you also have Rattlegore as a win condition, which means that you can be more proactive. Like if you don't draw ETC, you can just make copies of Rattlegore and have giant minions on the board and try to win that way. And it's viable. It's a good way to win as well. So, hope you guys enjoy. No, we have many decks. Hope you guys enjoy. Don't leave. Stay tuned. Highlander Hunter. Highlander Hunter is a deck that people aren't really talking about, but is also not seeing that much play, but is arguably one of, if not the best deck in high ranks right now. If you look at Hearthstone Replay at the ranks of Legend since the expansion came out, or at least since this newest season, since, December, this deck has been the highest win rate deck, at least on Hearthstone Replay according to their statistics. It has a lot of pressure, it's very aggressive, but also has the flexibility using cards like Zephyrus and just some secrets to get out of some sticky situations, and it's an aggro deck with an actual top end. Like, you're almost just as fast as an aggro Demon Hunter, except you also have a Bran, you have a couple of good 4-drops, and you have several solid 3-drops that can push a lot of damage, and Zephyrus, which can be used early or late game as some sort of finisher. It's just so strong. I did not expect this deck to be as strong as it was when I first started playing it, and I didn't want to play it because I wanted to try a ton of different decks, but then someone was like, have you played this deck yet? And I was like, no, and then I did, and went like 5 and 2, and I lost one game against a Warrior because he removed my board really early on, and I was like, okay, that happens, but then the other 6 games that like I actually played out and didn't get wrecked on turn 2, I won 5 of the 6 of those. So it's a strong deck. It's a small sample size, but on Hearthstone Replay, it's the highest win rate deck. For me, it's one of my personal higher win rate decks, and it's a deck that I've played for like almost a year. Just some variant of Highlander Hunter. I've always played at least a little bit, and I think it's a fun deck, and I recommend you try it. It's a little bit expensive, but you really only need Zephyrus and Dino Tamer Brand. You could probably find a couple of other 4-drops to replace here. One of the ones that I usually try to replace it with, just a quick idea, is Burrowing Scorpid and Bone Wraith. I feel like they're both decent cards that go underrated. So if you want to throw those in instead of some of the legendaries, you can. Also, Hyena Alpha. Those are the 3 cards I'd put in off the top of my head. Okay, fine. I will throw Pure Paladin onto this list. After thinking about it, after making other decks on the list, I was like, some of the other decks I was putting on this list, Pure Paladin is just as strong, if not better than. I think it's a very straightforward deck to play. It's cheaper than Libram Paladin. You really only need the High Abyss and Lady Liadrin. I actually sometimes take out Mergurgle and put in What's-Her-Face, Yril. That's more my build specifically, and I think it's really strong. I would recommend at least trying it. Argent Braggart, obviously, if you can cheese out and get a huge amount of value from Blessing of Authority, means on turn 5 or 6 you can easily have 2 10/10s out there, which is super stupid to deal with. You have good removal with Libram of Justice and Consecrate, as well as making it cheaper, which makes it just stronger. You have decent ways of regaining some fuel with Lightforged Crusader. You also have the Lady Liadrin. You have a couple of draws with Hand of Adal. Not to mention the fact that you never run out of Libram of Wisdoms unless it gets silenced or bounced to your hand, so you always have at least a couple of things to play every turn. And it's just a really strong deck that's pretty simple. But don't let that spook you. Don't let that make you think that it's not good, because it's an extremely powerful deck. And when you look at websites like Vicious Syndicate and Hearthstone Replay, even though it's not quite as strong as it is at lower ranks, even at higher ranks, this deck dominates the competition. Like, it's so strong. I still like Libram Paladin more. I still like Libram Paladin more with the Pen Flingers, because I think there's a little more creativity with the deck in terms of what you're trying to do. But Pure Paladin is definitely super strong and does pretty decent against Demon Hunter with all of your healing as well, so it's actually not even that bad into the aggro matchups. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If you do, feel free to like, comment, subscribe. It helps me out a ton. Hope to see you in the next one.